What's going on, Reapers? Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what we doing. This is the Reaper Motivation Podcast. You are now locked in with Devontae. And today I got like a special little two-part series thing going with this. And so again, we're talking about motivation, and this is gonna be a two-part series, like I said. And this is gonna be called "Kill the King and Take the Crown." So you guys are embarking on a journey. I'm embarking on a journey along with you guys of honing in on being a true entrepreneur, a true motivated, dedicated individual. And with that comes being a bit ruthless. There comes with being a lot of different facets to it. The world of power is very, very. It's not complicated, but it's very ruthless. It's very almost primitive in nature as far as just in regard to other humans and other people. You know, it's not much put into it. It's not the loving, caring environment that some of us have been made to believe that the world is supposed to be or is. This is more taking the aspect of, this is the nitty gritty, right? And the reason why I'm making two parts to this is I want to talk to you guys. This first part is going to be more about mastering yourself, right? In order to truly seize power, you need to understand mastering yourself and being true to oneself, and then loving yourself. And that's the first step to that. Part two is going to get into the competition side, leaders, enemies, things like that. That's going to be more of getting into like the ruthless side of seizing power and being the best that you can be, because there's going to be a lot of things you're going to run into if you haven't already done it yet. If you've been getting on your grind, getting on your purpose, if you've been kind of interacting with people and bettering yourself, you're going to see a lot of these things already. And if you haven't started yet, then this is just getting you prepared for it. So to start off with, I want to say a quote. I know I normally say my quotes a little bit later into the podcast, but this one is very, very important to this part one of this. And this is by the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I pronounce that wrong, man, nobody kill me. That's the best I can do with it. But he basically said something very, very interesting. He said, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." See, true power comes when you have the ability to figure out and know exactly who you are, right? And that starts with a lot of different places. So for me, the first thing I like to do is I look for flaws in myself, right? Now, there's a few guys out there who's probably really confident, and you think about you like, I don't really got no flaws. Everybody has flaws. Like if you look at yourself and you say you don't have no type of flaws, then you need to do some self-reflecting on a different level, because everyone has a flaw, and you should know to a degree some of them. We're not always gonna know all our flaws about ourselves, because we're just, you're looking at it from one side, but you should know certain things you have and flaws in yourself. And using myself as an example, a flaw that I have is that I'm very kind of unorganized. I have a hard time kind of keeping track of things. I'm a bit scatterbrained at times. So like one thing I've been trying to do recently is write a lot of stuff down. I've been trying to become more acclimated with getting a lot of my thoughts down on paper. A lot of times I'm kind of running around and I'm doing things off of what's needed now, what's going on now. I plan out my day in the morning, but I don't write anything down. I feel like if I utilize maybe like a planner or something like that, it'll kind of help. But what's dope about this is when you're trying to master who you are as a person, you start to, even if you don't fix the flaws that you have, you'll start improving on other aspects or even things that you're already strong in. Like me attacking how scatterbrained I can be. What that's also led to me doing is I become a lot more, once I like hone in on something, because I know I'll probably forget about it if I leave it alone. I like to really, really strongly attack what I'm doing, right? So I've been writing a book, the Reaper Mentality book, and because I've been kind of scatterbrained with the YouTube channel and the podcast and me going to school, when I had that free time in between the 30 days I had between school, I really focused in on that book, and I actually am done with my first draft of the book. Well, I'm one chapter away from being done with it, but that was something that kind of correlated from me finding those flaws and me knowing that I'm scatterbrained. Because otherwise, I probably did a chapter here, 2 or 3 YouTube videos, another chapter. Instead, I decided to slow down on YouTube. I picked up a bit on the podcast, but I really was focusing more on this book. You know, working on it, writing it, coming up with ideas, running ideas through people that I was talking to. And that's something that is dope when you start looking for those flaws, right? Because the first way to becoming a better you is fixing what you think is wrong. Now, sometimes some of your flaws aren't going to be bad things. Use myself as an example again. One flaw I have is that I'm not very trustworthy of people. And I don't feel like that's necessarily bad, because I feel as though it keeps me from a lot of bullshit that I see a lot of my friends and other people go through. I like to trust people who prove that they're trustworthy, if that makes sense. You know, not anybody's just going to gain my trust just because I think all people are good inside. No, I know for a fact all people are not good inside. To be honest with you, if you guys heard me say it before, the 95% rule, look, 95% of people you're going to come in contact with are bullshit. Well, not even bullshit. Let me take that back. 95% of the people that you're going to come in contact with are going to move in their own interests. That's human nature. Self-interest precedes everything, right? That's just how we are as human beings. And that's been it has been more amplified through us being more self-centered in this new era, new world. But I feel as though that's always been the kind of like the idea of human beings, is just we all have to survive. You want to kind of preserve yourself and your family in some cases. So that's one side I don't think is too bad of a flaw. I've been fixing it in certain ways, but I really don't want to get rid of it because, like I said, it keeps me out of a lot of bullshit. And I can tell because I'll get in some situations, I was like, man, it's a good thing I didn't put too much into that individual. So, and then next, you want to listen to critiques. So, I'm going to say you want to listen to critiques from viable sources. And what's a viable source? So, I told you guys to be analytical. I told you guys to be very, very, methodic in how you approach people and interact with people, and kind of watch how they move, watch how they talk, watch how they interact with others, get an idea what their morals are, what their ethics are. And the reason being is because, right, if you're listening to a critique from a motherfucker that is a snake, then that critique may, or for the most part, is not gonna be a good critique. It's one of these things. Like, for example, right, one person at my job that's very critical of myself, and the reason why I don't like listening to his critiques is because I want to say, outside of one person, everyone that's interacted with him has negative viewpoints on how he is as an individual, not even including anything else. Like, he's just as an individual, everyone has sees a lot of flaws in him, including myself. So I'm not going to use that as a viable source as listening to critiques from. However, I've come across some very, very stand-up individuals over the last 2 years or so, since I've been in Virginia, and I listen to their critiques a lot more enthusiastically than I do other people. And I've built on some things because of listening to them, right? I feel like I've started to gain some very, very useful knowledge from talking to certain people. A lot of times, though, sometimes you have to understand when sometimes you may just want to listen to critiques. Like, if I don't have the time to analyze somebody and they're giving me a critique or some advice, a lot of times I'll just take from it what I can, because I don't know who they are as a person yet. But, critiques are very, very big. You can't, like I said, we can look at it, we can look inward and kind of figure things out about ourselves, but it can only go so far, because it's like, how much wrong, like, there's certain things that people will bring up in me that I don't realize is an issue, but it's kind of brought upon me talking to them and understanding things. Like, I never realized that I'm a more of a selfish individual until I interacted with other people. Now, once I heard those critiques and I was able to reflect and think about it, you start to learn more about yourself. Like, I realized that I'm a selfish individual because in my past of my life, I've been put in a lot of situations where it's almost like I have to look out for myself because it feels like no one else is looking out for me. Like, it's a lot. It's always been me against the world in order to get through a lot of things, because it hasn't been a whole lot of people in, should I say, about the last 4 or 5 years that have really, truly believed in me. It's more so me disproving things. So I was working a lot from a standpoint of, me against the world. So that subsequently made me selfish. And I didn't realize that until I started talking to people. It was like, yeah, you move very selfishly. And it's going to get you mad at first. It got me mad. I was like, how the fuck you going to call me selfish? You don't know what but then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Some of the things I do is pretty selfish. So those critiques that you listen to, and if they're from viable sources, like I've heard, the people that I have heard it from are viable, credible people who are good people in and of themselves. Now, I haven't heard no shit like that from some of these, like, some of the people that just are like snakes, just people that really you shouldn't be interacting with to begin with. They're just talking to you because the opportunity presented itself. But I hear that a lot from viable people. So, getting good people in your corner. I don't think I've had the full on podcast about your circle and the people around you. But when you get some real solid individuals in your circle, people that aren't yes men, people that aren't just there to kind of just be persuaded, when they can really look you in your face and tell you about yourself, those are the best people to have around you, because that's when you get to learn about these flaws, and it just makes you a better person. I try my best to try to keep honest people around me because it keeps me honest. It keeps me listening to individuals that are trying to tell me things from a very logical and a heartfelt standpoint. And it's difficult. Like I said, you being a reaper now, you being motivated. Listen, the more that you start to accomplish stuff, the more that you get on your goals and you start building, your swagger gonna be on 100. You're gonna be super confident. Ain't nobody gonna be able to tell you shit. It's gonna be hard to listen because it was hard. It was like, I haven't even gotten to where I feel I should be or where I want to be. Well, you never really are, depending on how motivated you are. But it's hard, man. I try to check myself a lot. Like, you got to listen to somebody. It's difficult because you start getting the swag about you. It's like, man, I'm killing it right now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But you got to understand that we're all human. All our shit stink. And, try to, certain little things to try to keep yourself grounded. That's one thing I like about taking, risk and taking opportunities to try new things, because it humbles you a little bit. It shows you that you are human, that you can't be 100% great at everything. When you kind of go out and, try different things and try different events. So listen to your sources, man. Listen to people around you, find those flaws. And then once you do that, you want to get a better hold on your self-discipline. So I always talk about fitness on like my channel and stuff like that. Fitness to me is the best, like the most, like if I can say anything that's caused me to have discipline in myself, the discipline to tell myself to do something when no one else is telling me, I feel it's definitely been from fitness. And like, because fitness is something that, like, you think about it, what reason do you really have to stay in shape, right? Especially if you're in a relationship. Like, you think about it, if you in a relationship, you have somebody who likes you for who you are, well, hopefully, right? You have somebody who likes you for who you are, right? So you're not looking to find someone else in your relationship. You're happy in your relationship. And you're not an athlete or in the military or anything like that. You don't have any reason to really keep yourself in shape other than health. But you can stay healthy to a point. You can, like, being healthy and being fit is two different things. Like, I can be healthy and still be fat. As long as you don't have no diseases, not diseases, as long as you don't have any ailments as far as like high blood pressure or, diabetes or something like that, if you don't have nothing like that, and you can move pretty okay, you're just kind of fat, you're living a healthy lifestyle. For the most part, you're not sick or nothing like that. You're doing fine. You're not morbidly obese. So there's nothing that's going to keep you in the gym or keeping you watching your diet. But one thing about fitness is that when you just take it upon yourself to say, I want to look good, and this is something that I want, that's like the greatest starting point to me. That's like where you really get a chance. And then that's where you develop that self-discipline. Because I feel like me doing something like intermittent fasting, I couldn't have done that like 6 years ago because I didn't have any type of self-discipline. I kind of just, if you wasn't telling me to do it, I wasn't about to do it. But, you can kind of get that sense of urgency from like the situation that you're put into. But I feel like I built so much more on my self-discipline as I got into fitness. I can't eat that because it's going to make me look like this. I have to go to the gym because if I don't go, then I'm going to look like this. Well, at this point, I go to the gym because it makes me happy. Like, it's something I love. But you can kind of see the correlation. You start to get in a real good hold on yourself and your self-discipline. The more that you start to do certain things, the more that you kind of control your body. I said it one time, and say it again. How can you control a multi-million-dollar business if you can't even control your own body? You can't go out there and be able to really hone in on your goals if you can't even hone in on yourself. Your body is your temple. That you only get one of them. There's no oil change you can get. There's no new one you could buy. It's just your body. That should be one of your top cares in this entire world, is your body. And when you do that, it just builds on so many other aspects of mastering yourself and mastering who you are as a person. So fitness is the number one way to get to self-discipline. And that self-discipline is going to really put you on a level that you probably haven't experienced before. I'm still working on my self-discipline. I got a good amount. I'm not going to say it's amazing. It's definitely not where it should be. But it's gotten a lot easier, and it's definitely opened up a lot more opportunities to myself, because if I didn't have the discipline to do this homework when I really don't feel like it, or to stay up until 1, 2 in the morning working on this YouTube channel or the podcast or something else, I definitely wouldn't have gotten to the situations that I've gotten to. And I'm very thankful that fitness has brought that into my life. And my next point is going to be finding productive outlets. So one thing that is super helpful with being a person that's on their purpose and on their grind and chasing their goals is that it gives you an outlet to kind of de-stress yourself. One thing that's been awesome about this podcast and awesome about my YouTube channel is I'm not gonna say I downright hate what I do for a living, because I actually like what I do for a living, but I hate my job. I hate the environment that I'm in. I just can't stand where I'm at. And my disliking for it is basically channeled all into this. It keeps me doing it. It keeps me consistent. It keeps me motivated, because I know that if I stop going to school, if I stop doing my homework, if I stop doing the podcast, if I stop working out, if I stop, doing the channel, then I'm going to be stuck in this stupid fucking job for the rest of my life. And I don't want that for myself. And that's something that a lot of you guys can use too, because I know a lot of people out there don't like their day-to-day job. I don't know how many people hate it, but I know a lot of people don't like it. And it's like this: create that sense of urgency in yourself. A sense of urgency is definitely going to persuade you to being a better you, because, like I said, if you don't have a need, it's not going to be a want. If you don't have the need to change something, you're just going to kind of be like, I get around to it when I get around to it. But when you sit there and you think about, like, if I don't do this, then I'm going to be stuck at this fucking job dealing with these snake ass fucking people and this nonsense and this racist bullshit and all this other stuff, then you kind of think about, you like, you know what? Let me do my homework because I don't want to be here forever. I don't want to sit here and waste my life away work for people that don't give a fuck about me. And that's definitely going to put you in a whole nother stratosphere of like motivation. And it could be that as an outlet. It could be video games or anything, but you want it to be something that's productive at the very least. An outlet should not be gambling. It shouldn't be drinking or shit. I'd even say sex. And I'm an individual who I love having sex, but I definitely wouldn't say that's something that is a productive outlet, because for one, if you're a dude, the amount of time that it takes to deal with like trying to have sex with like going out there and trying to be a hoe is very time consuming. You'd find yourself being distracted a lot from what you're supposed to be doing if you're out there just trying to chase ass. And even from a female perspective, I don't think girls, as far as sex wise, have it as taskful as we do. But at the same time, it's still going to take up some time dealing with people, talking to them, setting things up and stuff like that. I don't think that's a productive outlet. But a productive outlet could be like going to the gym, picking up a hobby, if you like to paint or something like that. But at the end of the day, you want to take some of those outlets. If you're somebody who doesn't know what their purpose is in life, you want to take those outlets and find ways to put money into it. Outlet for me for a long time was going to the gym. I said, well, damn, I want to make some money off of this. So maybe I should train some people. You know what? Maybe I should start a YouTube channel. Maybe I should do this. I always loved challenges. I've always loved goals. That's the reason why I joined the Marine Corps. So I was like, how can I make some money out of this passion that I have for life? So it's just, you find different ways to build on that, to monetize it, and then it puts you in a different area as far as being a goal-oriented individual. And it's definitely fun, man. It's something that's really like, it's almost the feeling that can't be described when you start to just love what you do and then start to love yourself because of that. Because you'll start to accomplish things, like I said, you'll start to get that swagger about you, and you'll just start loving yourself. It's just like, man, I just feel so good. Going to the gym, working out, looking in the mirror and be like, wow, man, like I did this. I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really putting my all into this and it's paying off and I feel good. I like how I feel. Another thing that Lao Tzu said, again, if I said his name wrong, I'm sorry. But another thing he said was, being deeply and loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. And if you love yourself deeply, the courage that you're going to have in yourself and what you're doing and what you're putting your energy into, it's indescribable. Like, you'll just feel like you could take on the world and can no one stop you. One of my favorite things to say is, only thing on this earth, only thing out there that can stop Devontae Jeffers is God himself and myself. Because that's where you get that swagger from loving yourself. You know that no matter what it is, something may set you back, it may knock you down, but you'll stand back up. That's where you get that courage from, that belief in yourself. Because you just love who you are as an individual and you're comfortable in yourself. There's going to be insecurities, going to be instances that you're not confident. But at the end of the day, as long as you just have that idea that I love who I am as a person, I look in the mirror and I'm happy with who I see and who I am. And that just changes everything. And like I said, the circle is big. You want to find ways to avoid peer pressure by those fucked up individuals. So again, stay very analytical. Watch everyone who you come in contact with, because you need to make sure that you're not inviting the wrong people around you. You want to make sure that they're not poisoning your mind with their bullshit. Like I said, there's a lot of snakes out there. There's a whole lot of them. And some of them aren't even snakes. A lot of them are just people who are, again, just looking out for their own self-interest. But you got to be wary of them, man. You got to keep them out of your inner circle. Build that circle correctly. Be very, very methodic in how you choose people to be around you. Because it's important. Because there's a lot of individuals who you may like I said before, and they're just not right to be around you, man. That energy is not what you need in your life. And that peer pressure of, just how somebody acts is peer pressure in and of itself, because it makes it normal. If you got somebody around you that's fucking 25, damn near in their 30s with kids, and they still gang banging, that's not the energy you want around you. That's just because it just makes it okay to be out there thinking that you should be beefing and shooting at motherfuckers instead of focusing on feeding your family. Things like that. So that's just, you really want to be wary of that, man. And just love yourself, master yourself, and then chase your goals. So this is going to be, like I said, the part 1 of Kill the King and Take the Crown. Reason why I thought this was important to start off with first is because you cannot accomplish anything until you conquer yourself. You can't conquer anybody else until you conquer yourself. And I know some of you guys are probably getting thrown off by me saying conquer somebody else. Y'all gonna understand it more in the next one. I'm not really talking about, kind of like how Grant Cardone said, we're trying to dominate space, not people. And that's, like I said, that's really the whole point of power and gaining the upper hand in the world, is dominating space instead of people. Because at the end of the day, people tend to, like I said, 95%. People come and go, they go as their mood goes. But when you dominate space, you're dominating something bigger than you. You're dominating something that's a world changing, a generational changing aspect of your life and other people's lives. So, it's Devontae's Reaper Training. We don't chase dreams, we hunt goals. I'm going to catch y'all next time.